Well, okay, people, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, just welcome. Hope you come back. Today we have a video on UFO and aliens. For some reason, this is just being thrown in our face even more these days. And some of the people that's come out and confirmed this is, you know, people that are very reliable. There are some congressmen and women that are actually stepping up to the plate. People that are just as down to earth as I am talking to you making this video. So I do love Joe Rogan podcast on occasion. And I dive into the rabbit hole of the Y-Files all the time. If it's a topic that interests me. So I love Joe and I love AJ. But you get Joe and AJ together and have them sit down on the Joe Rogan show. And I just loved it. Man, I can listen to a 12-hour conversation between them. So what I've done in this video, guys, I cherry pick the parts I like out of there. And we're going to do a video on it. You know, if they're talking about something you're not familiar with, I'll try to throw in some edits to explain it a little more. So if you see edits pop in and out, they're not going to be long. They'll probably be 20-30 seconds, but it'll give you a little more explanation on exactly what or who they're talking about at the time. But let's get into it.
Even more of a psyop if it's all bullshit. Like, it's a psyop if it actually is like, wow, the government is actually really good at one thing. They're good at keeping secrets about UFOs.
That's right.
But if they're not, if it's all bullshit, like, boy, how weird that we've been like focusing on this nonsense. Like, as a culture, it got in the front page of the New York Times in 2017, but meanwhile it's all nonsense.
Right. And
that's almost less likely. There's a term that they use that these are donations.
right.
That these vehicles are donations, and that the idea is we're supposed to look at this and formulate new ideas through reverse engineering.
And there's circumstantial evidence that that's true. If you look at Bell Labs and all the crazy discoveries after Roswell, like we're using cathode ray tubes and suddenly transistors are made and silicon semiconductors and wireless transmission, and Bell Labs is all these leaps forward.
Fiber optics,
laser technology came out of Bell as well. And, the retrieval experts say that fiber optics and lasers for sure is reverse engineered. And it kind of makes a lot of sense because it seemed to have come out of nowhere. Suddenly Bell Labs has it. But it's my question is where is the stuff? We've got World War II. We go into Korea in 1950, and at the time, Russia had the MiG-15 was basically on par with us. I think we had the F-86 at the time, and MiG might have even been better. So that would have been a great time for some advanced tech. But America did catch up and exceed the Soviets about 51, 52, during Korea, and then has been superior ever since. But you would think that after 47, with the Soviets there, let's get some of this anti-gravitic stuff going.
Yeah, maybe the problem is that you're working in this very compartmentalized environment, so you're not allowed to share with all these different scientists. So because of that, there's no collaboration, which is necessary for real innovation. You have to have experts from a bunch of different fields analyzing all the different aspects of it. This is what Lazar pointed to, the problems that they were having at S4 when they were trying to back engineer this stuff. He's like, you can't do science like this because everything is so top secret and so compartmentalized. The metallurgists were not allowed to talk to the propulsions people, and no one was allowed to talk to anybody else, and everybody was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
right.
What are these things? They didn't even tell him, allegedly, if the story's true. I know it's so many years ago, but do you remember the thought that came in your mind when you realized that it wasn't ours? Because initially you saw the American flag sticker.
Yeah, when I saw the American flag, when I first went in, the first time I went in through the hangar door instead of around the back, slid my hand across it, saw the American flag, and I thought, oh my God, this explains the UFO nuts,
It's ours.
Yeah, this is ours. This is a new top secret fighter. We came up with a new propulsion system, and it explains everything because I never believed in flying saucers. I thought people were nuts. By the way, this isn't ours. And Barry is the guy that filled me in, going, no, this is an alien craft, and we need to figure out how this works. Look at the technology here. I mean, this is light years ahead of where we are. And it was a shock, really, to me. I remember going home that night and just laying in bed and reviewing everything that everybody said that day. I don't know. I really can't put it into words.
They didn't even tell him where this thing came from. They show it to him, and there's a United States flag sticker on it. And he's like, oh, this is ours. Oh, that makes sense. And then he's examining. He's like, oh, no, it's not. Like, there's no seams in this thing. Like, what is this? What is the metal? Why is it designed for something that's 3 feet tall? Like, there's no controls inside this thing. Like, what is this reactor? How does this thing work?
There's a chair.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple of chairs. It looks like there's a neural interface, maybe. You hear a lot of the scientists, their frustration. Like, if I could just talk to these guys.
Right.
You know, I'm picking up an EM field from this. The metallurgist would be helpful here to tell me
Right.
what's going on. You know, I keep coming across spinning mercury all the time.
Spinning mercury.
The spinning mercury engine has been part of the lore since ancient India has the Vimanas, you know, those craft. If you look at the ancient texts, it may have been in the Mahabharata.
Yeah.
But they allude to this liquid metal.
Spinning mercury creates a plasma torus. This field reduces the local gravity mass. This is known physics, though difficult to engineer. The Sanskrit texts describe this mechanism precisely. It implies the ancients had mastered magnetohydrodynamics propulsion, a technology we are only now rediscovering.
And then you fast forward to like the Nazis building the Bell, the Die Glocke. That was a mercury engine.
The SS designed and built the strange anti-gravitation craft, whose shape gave it the name the Bell, powered by a mysterious fuel called Zerum 525, otherwise known as red mercury.
So just stopping here for a second, I don't want you guys watching this video to think that, the Glock or the Bell is actually something we can prove, because it's not. I mean, there's more evidence of it not existing than there is of it actually existing. Do I think it's possible? Yeah, I do. Our space program was non-existent until we got the German scientists. America didn't have a space program, didn't have a NASA. We acquired that through Project Paperclip. So do I think it's out of the realm of possibility? No, not at all. I mean, they did create the V2 while they were over there still in Germany. So yeah, I think this could be a possibility, but I want you guys going through this video believing that I'm throwing this out here as fact. It's just, information. Do with it what you want.
And then we fast forward a little further. Mark McCandlish in the ARV vehicle, the flux liner. That's spinning mercury engine.
Fellow calls up and said, "Hi, Mark, it's Brad." I remember me. I said, "Yeah, we were in the transportation design curriculum at ARTS." A local Air Force base, Norton Air Force Base, was having a big air show, and there was a rumor that they were going to have an SR-71 Blackbird out there, which was still kind of a rare occurrence at air shows to see something like that. And so I invited Brad to come out to the air show, and so we arranged to meet together. And at the last minute, I got a second call from Popular Science to do yet another illustration. It was a quick turnaround. They wanted it done over the weekend. It was a quick, $3,000, so I couldn't turn that down. And it was for their February of '89 edition, with the cover story being about the X-31. Brad went to the air show, and when the weekend was over, I was kind of interested in his impression, and I called him up and I just said, how did you like the air show? And he just seemed completely different. When I talked to him on the phone, he sounded almost depressed. I mean, it was kind of a strange sort of reaction. And he said, well, I don't know. I think I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. And I said, well, how's that possible? Everything that's at the air show is sent there and flown there with the intent of putting it on static display, especially for the public. So how could you possibly see something that wasn't intended to be seen? He says, I got in to see a display that was a little more exclusive. It was something that was set aside for some top military brass and some top politicians with clearances. And the fellow I was with didn't realize at the time that certain items were going to be on display. And as soon as he realized that here I was without a clearance to see this stuff, he basically said, don't say anything, don't talk to anybody, we'll get out of here as soon as we can. So I asked him, I said, well, what did you see that you think is so stunningly, classified that, you'd be in trouble. After they had the main little dog and pony show, they pulled back the curtain and there were these 3 flying saucers hovering there, and I couldn't believe my ears. I said, "No, wait, did you say flying saucers?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, what do they look like?" He says, "Well, they look like something from the 1950s, like a jello bowl, flat on the bottom, sloping sides, a little terrace around the middle."
The smallest one was about 24 feet in diameter at the bottom end of the craft. The medium-sized vehicle was about 60 feet in diameter, and the largest was somewhere between 125 and 130 feet in diameter.
I said, "Well, what were they doing? Were they just sitting on the floor?" He says, "No, they were hovering. There wasn't no landing gear, nothing holding them up, cables. It's just they were hovering." This general got up and he was describing these vehicles. He described them as alien reproduction vehicles, ARV for short. They also had a nickname for the aircraft. They called them flux liners. Now, flux is an electrical term for a high electrical charge. So, high electrical charge liner, a flux liner.
So spinning mercury keeps popping up. And spinning mercury would cause some type of field. What that would be, I'm not a scientist or physicist, I'm not sure. But it would certainly throw off a bunch of ions that could maybe be harnessed or used for something.
Well, it's like we're trying to explain things to us based on our current understanding of technology. Like, glass was invented a long time ago, but imagine showing up with a brand new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra with Gorilla Glass, in the thin frame, and looking at that, they were, what the fuck is this?
There'd be statues of you
Right.
for 1,000 years.
Well, you know what glass is, you know what metal is, right? Well, this is glass and metal. You're like, what?
What?
No, what the fuck is this?
We took sand and made it real hot, and it made it clear. Huh?
What? And
Right.
you can drop it on the concrete and it doesn't break.
Right.
What? Yeah. So just our current understanding of technology based on the origins of that technology, just metal and glass. You show someone metal and glass is thousands of years old, show them what we have now with metal and glass, they'd be blown away. And you just keep going. Go 1,000 years from now. Like, what does it all look like? It's like probably some sort of gravity propulsion system, probably 3D printed, so there are no seams.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the frustration about disclosure is how far could we be by now?
Right.
Had there been disclosure in 47 or whatever. Well, if you look at what Doty did in the 70s and 80s with Paul Benowitz, when Benowitz discovered this advanced technology on Kirtland Air Force Base, he called the base and said, "Hey, I think there's UFOs." So they send Doty out. He was Air Force Intelligence, OSI.
I didn't lie to Paul Benowitz. I had a job to do. I wasn't a maverick. I just didn't go out and do this on my own. My supervisors told me, "Listen, we don't want him to go out to the public, go on camera and say, 'Hey, I just tapped into a secret laser on Kirtland Air Force Base.' Obviously, we can't have that happen." So all I had to do was say, "Well, you know what, Paul? Maybe what you did see was UFOs."
Look, we've established in history and documents through the Freedom of Information Act, the CIA and the military complex as a whole has really aimed to essentially mislead the public when it comes to UFOs. Tell them something that necessarily is not the truth. We've seen it time and time again through the decades, over and over and over.
They send him out to Benowitz, and he's like, "Paul, I think it might be UFOs. It is aliens." And Paul gets a little bit wacky, and he starts intercepting signals from outer space, and they're sending him messages, but it turned out it's really the NSA rented a house across the street, and Paul is committed at some point. And then Doty, over the years, changes his story and says, "No, a lot of it is actually true." But Doty has also, he said as recently as 2019, Hal Puthoff tried to recruit him for a disinformation campaign with ATIP.
Really? So Hal Puthoff has been a part of disinformation campaigns?
Allegedly forever.
And what have they been doing with these disinformation campaigns? What have they been trying to muddle?
Just to keep guys like you and me fascinated and trying to figure stuff out while they can just operate their advanced technology in peace. Like, let them think it's aliens and UFOs. That's fine.
What a dirty thing to do to
Filthy.
us.
In the 50s, they were very public about anti-gravity. It was in the papers.
Yeah.
The G engine, they were talking about it. And then suddenly, whoosh, quiet.
Yeah. Jesse Michaels talks about that all the time, the Townsend Brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Townsend, and Ning Lee, remember her story, the physicist who disappeared?
Right. And then she died in a car accident after she came back from China.
Oops.
Whoopsies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was AC Gravity. If you guys want to look that up, she used to give talks and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
She was funded by DOD for $400,000, so we know that for sure. And then she just goes dark. She goes dark for 11 years. Shows up, I think, in 2013. She's back. 2014, she gets hit by a car.
What did you see now? I guess it would be about 2 weeks ago. That was very alarming, the way you said that, at least.
Yeah, well, because of the circumstances and where it was, I can't get into too much specifics, but it was elaborating on some stuff that we'd asked for, and it was important to get this person in a secure setting to where we could ask him these questions. And there was somebody in the meeting with us, one of my colleagues, I guess you'd say, was basically there just to kind of upset the apple cart and to throw, a monkey wrench into the deal. And every time a question was asked by this particular party, it was really the answers were out there, and they gave them, and they gave specifics, they gave addresses, they gave times and dates and people that were in the meeting. And this went all the way up to the executive branch of previous presidents, not this current president.
So there have been different reports over the years. Some reports that there have been pieces of machinery that were found that did not seem earthly. And then there have been reports about life that is not earthly. Which one of those two, or both, are you talking about? A form of life that is not earthly, or just something mechanical that's not earthly?
I'd say you'd be safe to say both.
The way you described this, whatever happened at this meeting, this briefing that was happening, was there something that if we knew, we would feel that we are in danger? You said you wouldn't sleep at night if you knew the things that I saw in these briefings.
Yeah.
Should we believe that that's the part where it seemed alarming?
I don't think we're at danger of this. I mean, if these things exist as I think they do, they could have destroyed us with a blink of an eye. I just don't see that. And I think that's, I just think, but I do think they have the technology and the capabilities of something that we can't understand or we can't grasp.
What I want to make sure I'm understanding is a member of our government has told you and others, I guess, that there is a form of alien life and machinery which maybe brought this living creature here that interacted in some form with people?
Yeah, they have, and they've. It's pretty wild. I know, but I'm just telling you, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd take a lie to tell you. You want to put me on a polygraph, I'll take it. But this is what the guy told me. I mean, I've had a very high-ranking naval official describe. I've talked about this before. Underwater craft, something big as a football field, moving at over 200 miles an hour. And there's no fish in the ocean that would do that. We don't even have a sub that'll probably do 40 miles an hour under the. And the last thing he said before he left my office was, it was kind of weird because he didn't go out he went out the side door, which nobody ever uses. And he looked at me, he pulled me up close, and he said, "Tim, they're real."
We're going to end the video there. I appreciate you guys coming, hanging out. I know there's a lot of other places you can be watching other people and other channels do other things, but you're here checking this out with me, and I thank you for it. I hope to see you guys next time. See ya.
This is just what I've been talking about. I can't even relate to you guys anymore because you're too immature. What? I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here.
You don't know what you're talking about, fat ass.
No. Me, yeah. You guys, yeah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
All this talk of getting old is getting me down my